Alright, everybody, we are live again tonight on this Wednesday. And I just double checked to make sure it was actually Wednesday, because sometimes I get that messed up. But yes, here we are. And well, this actually marks the 7th stream, because now with this one, we'll have been streaming for a full week. So that's pretty cool. Tonight, what we're going to be doing is not a whole lot of complicated stuff. We did a lot of that yesterday. And so tonight, I think what we're going to do is just focus on creating some fun levels to play around with. And maybe fixing any issues that pop up with those levels as we find them. And if there are any interesting suggestions for level ideas, then we can do those as well. So we'll just start playing around and see what happens tonight. So one thing that we definitely need to fix right now is these slopes, because something is up with the hit detection on that. Like it's whenever snowball is a little bit bigger. So supposedly these are the detections to show that he's on a surface. But if we're doing for here, see, I can't, it won't let me do that. I think I know why. Okay, so we can see right here that it's not detecting the ground. So if we look at, this is the main platform. So where's the collider? Well, at least I can speculate as to what it is. I think this is the collider right here, this green. It's very hard to see. But if we decide to turn this down, we can see it better. And we can see now that indeed the red line is not touching the green line, which tells us that we need to make our red lines touch the green line. And the only way we're going to do that is if we extend that red line a little bit. So let's jump on over to our code. And let's figure out how we're drawing those lines and how they're being calculated. So these are some arbitrary values, and we need to change these values first off, but the other thing we need to do is check is grounded. So these are the same arbitrary values in here, and this is what we're going to have to edit in order to make sure that this works right. So grounded vector is the main thing responsible for making sure that things are grounded, and really that doesn't need to be right there because I define it again down here, I believe. Where is it? Grounded vector equals this right here. So 0 minus half width, and we get the half width from the boundary of the sprite. So the sprite is going to be a rectangle of some shape and size, and we want to divide that by the pixels per unit, because when you import a sprite into Unity, the pixels per unit ratio tells Unity how many pixels should be mapped to a unit of space in the Unity engine. So that's going to be different per sprite, and sometimes I might forget to set it, or sometimes I might intentionally set them to different values. So this is important. And so when we divide those by each other, and by the way, the rectangle is like if you open the picture up in Paint and it's like a PNG picture or something like that, this would be the width in that. And so that's the rectangle and that's the width. And we divide that by the pixels per unit that we wanted to have in the game space. Multiply that by the scale of the object. because our scale is what's going to be changing. And then we divide that by 2. And when we divide that by 2, that gives us half of the width, which is why I call this the half width. So the idea of calculating this is so that we can get the point from the center of the sprite all the way to one side of the sprite. So it goes from the center of Snowball's body out to the bottom of the floor, and that's how we can figure out how things are grounded, if we just put that in there. So what we also want to do probably is make 2 other vectors. So let me just do that. Keep things simple. Private vector 3, grounded vector left, and private vector 3, grounded vector right. And we're going to apply the same concept, except we're going to use half width for the x value as well as the y value, because luckily Snowball is a circle, and so because he's a perfect circle or a perfect square, then we can use the width and the height for both. We can use the width for both the width and the height, because the width and the height are equal. Just some geometry right there. So half the width is also half the height, which is why we're able to do that. And then we can just, you know, so anyway, you'll see what I mean. I think you guys get it. I don't want to over-explain things either. But now what we need to do is take these new vectors, and we want to just get rid of these arbitrary numbers and plug in the new vector variables. And we also want to do the same thing for the isGrounded function. So just replace that right there, replace that right there, and change this to left instead of right. Okay. And then we should see something different when we go back here and recompile our Unity game and hit the play button. If it doesn't take forever to recompile, because, alright, oh, or maybe I just need to go to the game tab. It's still taking a while. Okay, there we go. I don't know if there's a way to speed that up. I wish I knew if there's like something that I could do to make that go faster. So hopefully this works. Hey, look, it works. We fixed it. And let me prove to you that we did. So I can show you right here that the red lines have changed. And if we do what we did before and turn this down so we can see the green line, you can see the red line now intersects with the green line, and we're good to go. The collision has been detected, and we know that we can jump. So anyway, glad that's fixed. Again, just a simple warm-up to get us started with our level design for tonight. Overshot that one a little bit. That's okay. And we're making it to the end here, and we're good. Okay, so we're good to go on that. So I think that first level, we could mess around with this a little bit more. The problem is I don't know how much else I want to add to the tutorial level, and so I think I should just move on to the second level. But I'm gonna go over to, well, I could just save this as a different level. So I'll save this scene as, I don't know, level 52. Because this is just a test scene. And so now we need to go back to level 2, or we can just go back to level 1 and then overwrite level 2 with level 1. And now I just want to take it from here instead. So we're going to be making level 2 right now. Hey Lishy, nice to see you as well. Yeah, I think Snowball is going to be a great, it is a great concept. And if you have any ideas to add on to it, just let me know and we can experiment with stuff. So this level is going to be an outside level, I think. So I want to change the directional light. And it's called the directional light because it only goes in one direction. So that's useful in certain situations, not useful in others. But yeah, so we can just, let's take our Snowball here, drag him up there first off, and then get rid of his point light because we don't need that. And then we'll just turn up the lighting all the way on our directional light. So the idea of this game is that the North Pole is going to be melting. So an outside level should actually be really bright outside. Even though the North Pole, like, I think, if I understand this correctly, the North Pole doesn't ever, it either ever isn't ever nighttime, or it's always nighttime, or it's just like very rarely has daytime in it. But it's kind of confusing. So I think most of the time up at the North Pole it is like dark outside. But you know, things go wrong and now suddenly there's daylight. I don't know the physics behind that exactly, but maybe it works. Well, certainly Snowball was a mobile game initially. So, and we could always make sure it is a mobile game. I think it has potential for Steam though, if we keep adding mechanics to it, as I have been adding, and make sure there's a lot of content, then I think we're good. The other thing is I also think the mouse controls are, like, touching the screen's pretty intuitive, but I also like the freedom of using the mouse to control Snowball. So honestly, I could put this on both stores and see which one does better. And I might as well do it because it's free to well, it's not free to upload on the Play Store, but once you pay the fee, you can upload pretty much anything. So let me see here. So we want to adjust the directional light. And yeah, we could do an Aurora Borealis. I think that would be pretty cool. At some point, we can do the visual effects for that, but probably sometime later when we're closer to just polishing the game. Or we could have a whole stage around the concept, you know, like you see it in the background as you're going through the stage. So yeah, we'll need to think about that one, but I think that would be a cool idea for sure. Let's see. Well, we want the level to not be a cave this time, level 2. We're heading outside into the sunlight. So we're going to turn all of these terrain things onto their heads. And this is an add-on I got from the Unity Asset Store called Fur 2D Terrain, and it's been really, really helpful. So I didn't have to come up with any of this stuff. You know, that's the great thing about the asset store is you can just buy stuff that you need and then you instantly have it. So it really makes this a lot easier. So there's a handy button down here that lets us change things from closed to inverted closed, and so just like that, we just inverted our whole level from what we had before to what we have now. So I'm not sure I actually want to keep it inverted, but it looks pretty cool. But yeah, so let's just disable that for right now and reshape this to look a little bit more like a landmass. Let's see. Okay. And also, feel free to just listen to your own music if I go silent for a while. Um, that's kind of why I'm not really playing anything right now, because I know people might want to listen to their own stuff. So, but I'll also try and talk about things as I'm working on them, or if anybody has questions, I'll talk about them. I just don't think there's a lot to talk about while I'm making the level itself, but you never know. Yeah, all of these points we're gonna need to like get rid of because this level design is not gonna work. Just inverting that looks a little bizarre, so we'll just have to delete all these points and then mess with them later when we get back here. Actually doing homework at the moment. Well, that's a good thing. You know, you shouldn't really ignore homework if you have it. So don't let me distract you from important things in life. Okay, so we're getting back to having something resembling a level. Now, I think I've said this in a few previous streams, but I want to kind of avoid having bottomless pits like in the first game. Well, I don't know. Maybe we could have a few. The only issue with is that I don't know if it's intuitive that um, people might not people might want to try and jump down the pit to see where it goes. So I don't know what the best idea might be. I mean, I think the indicator of a bottomless pit is the fact that the camera doesn't like scroll down any further, so maybe they get the hint not to jump down there. Or maybe they wouldn't, I don't know. I'd also kind of like to make an effect like with the camera that like maybe indicates that the sun is really bright. I don't really know how to code that yet, but we're gonna need a shader for that. So most likely, unless there's a post-processing effect that will get us the same result, but probably gonna want a shader. So you can do Arctic methane. I wouldn't know how you draw it though, but some sort of vent with steam. Yeah. Well, let me look at what Arctic methane is. I'm not sure I'm familiar with that. Arctic methane emissions is the release of methane gas from seas and soils in permafrost regions of the Arctic. While a long-term natural process, it is exacerbated by global warming. The results in a positive feedback effect, as methane itself is a powerful greenhouse gas, according to Wikipedia. Interesting. I'm gonna look into that. So you're suggesting that the bottomless pits should have steam coming out of them to sort of indicate that they're bottomless, or at the very least that they're not something that you want to go into because it would burn you up, and that's not a bad idea. That might make sense. Yeah. So let's just see what we can play around with here. I'm not quite sure what to do with these boxes just yet. Let's create our folders for this stuff. Items, objects, enemies. And maybe, by the way, if we're lucky, we can get 1 level per hour tonight. Because I was thinking maybe half an hour per level, but I don't know, that might not be enough time. Because I want to make the levels sufficiently long. So, maybe 1 level per hour. Which, if you think about it that way, is going to be like, at most, we could get 2 levels per night. And that's not bad at all. Because by the end of a week, you'd have 10 levels. After a week of streaming, I should say. We'd have 10 whole levels. And you think about it like that, and you sort of get an idea how many days it might take to finish the game. Of course, I can also work on them outside the stream, so it could take even less time than that. Yeah, that's the really good thing about this asset from the asset store. Like I said, it's called Fur 2D Terrain. It's just really, really intuitive. I can just stretch all this terrain out, and it really makes me it allows me to make levels really, really quickly, which is honestly a huge factor in why I made the first game so quickly. So buying assets from the asset store can be a very good thing if you know how to use it and know where to go to get the right ones. So this might look like a lot, but we're probably going to be able to run through this in about 10 or 20 seconds. So, because Snowball can really launch himself pretty far. So level bounds, those were the bounds for the old level. So let's bring it down here a little bit. Offset it that way. The unfortunate thing about this is like I can't see the green lines that easily unless I tone down the brightness on that every time that I want to adjust the boundaries of the level. Which kind of sucks, but I'm not sure a way around that. Should we go full brightness there or just a little bit less than full brightness? I mean, that definitely looks like it's about to melt. I just don't know if that's too bright on the eyes. That's too bright. So that's all good. Yep, this works. There's just not a whole lot of interesting stuff going on. So, but it's definitely a level. So let's grab some of our enemy guys and put them out here. Okay, well, I might as well take care of this right now. So, I see these little yellow things here, XP1, XP2, 3, 4. Those are where his explosions are going to show up whenever he dies. And I mean, it's fine the way that it is. The only issue is that I can't actually see the guy when I zoom out like this. So, I wonder if there's a way I can just do that. And will it still work if I just disable it like that? I don't know. Yeah, if I disable it like that, then he doesn't actually show them off. So what I could do though is I could just make a prefab out of the explosions thing. See? Then I can delete explosions. And then I can turn this into a prefab. So let's overwrite that one. And what we're also going to do is we're going to jump into this script here, and we're going to modify it so that it references that prefab and instantiates the prefab right on us. So public game object explosion prefab, okay, and we're going to assign that manually. So when do we use explosion object? Well, right here we're going to instantiate the object. So game object dot instantiate explosion prefab, and we're going to do transform because that's our transform. So instantiate it right where we are at, and that should work. Then we head back here, and we're going to have to assign the references, and hopefully this works with all the other ones that I had in those other levels. If not, that's okay. It's just a minor inconvenience. So let's drag and drop our explosions right there. And we'll also do it here just for completion's sake. There we go. So now his prefab references that. And so when he dies, he's going to instantiate that thing, the 4 positions for the explosions, and then whenever he dies, he'll instantiate them right where he's standing, and then they'll go off, and then, yeah. Nope. What's going wrong here? 324. What? What's going on at 324? Oh, explosion list is null. I wonder why. Yeah. Okay. So what's explosion list? Oh, okay. We can just get rid of that and then come back down here. So we'll say transform explosion list equals that dot transform, and that should fix it. Because what we were doing was, in order to get all those positions, we have to reference the transform, and we forgot to do that. Small mistake. Yeah, I would definitely agree that the Kirby games have a lot of really good backgrounds. There you go. So that worked. I completely agree. I'm not necessarily doing the art for this game. I mean, some of it I do. Like, I made the snowball guy, and I didn't exactly make this. Yeah, I didn't make the snow. A friend of mine helped out with the snow, and some of this is a little stuff I got from, you know, free assets. But I mean, the bad guy sprites, I did those kind of. I did the base one. I didn't do the animations, because there's a lot of animations that these guys have. But so I don't know how good my artistic skills will be with creating like really stunning backgrounds. But yeah, I think it would be cool to have, like what you're saying, dark blues and whites and purple for some sort of Arctic starry background. Yeah. So that could be cool. Let's test this one more time with a few other guys. So this guy needs to like run in some direction. Same with this guy. So I just want them to be on the move or something. Another thing that I really should do is making it so that these guys don't like walk off the edge, because they're bound to do that. So they need to detect when there isn't going to be a place for them to walk, and then if there isn't a place for them to walk, then they don't go there. Where are they going? Oh, they're moving very, very slowly. I forgot about that. Let's see. So we can adjust the rate at which they move right there. So we can do 0.5 maybe. So they're gonna move, stop, but if their speed is so fast, then it'll look like they're constantly moving. It's interesting, they move a bit slower when they're on that terrain, or on that slope. That is interesting. It's also quite interesting that gravity didn't really seem to do much for them right there. That's very interesting. Let's try this again. Get rid of this guy. And we'll make this guy maybe go a little bit faster. I don't know. I want to see what's going on with the way that they're walking. Okay, so he's going really fast, and gravity did not seem to affect him at all there. Oops. No. Okay, well I thought we had fixed that issue, but I guess not. For some reason he is taking lots and lots of damage. Oh, I know why. Well, that's very interesting. So because his speed was really fast, the amount of damage that he was the force of the impact was a lot greater, which meant that it seemed as though he was hurting himself. So that is actually quite interesting. I'm going to have to look up how to deal with that then, and we can address that tomorrow maybe. But we're going to reduce his speed back down for right now. I just don't quite understand why it's harder for him to go up the slope than it is for him to just go straight left. Is it because that he's running into that wall? Like he's just trying to go straight left? I don't know. Let's make him do 0.25. Oops, go back there. I'm not done watching you. Like, he should be more affected by gravity, shouldn't he? I bet I know what's going on. I bet... What if we make him jump? What happens then? He seems to be affected by gravity then. We need to make sure that this is working the right way. So what's he doing when he jumps? Body.velocity equals jump force. So the velocity equals that, then gravity starts to affect it. Okay. What happens when we want to run? So it automatically sets that to 0. What we want to do is make sure this is just equal to the previous velocity of the body, rather than being equal to 0 flat out. So gravity might change our velocity on the y scale. So I think that might fix it. And we also want to do it and run toward as well. Okay, now let's go back here, and I think our issue will be fixed. Unless we made more issues. Oh, right. This is not body.velocity. This needs to be body.velocity.y. So this is the x value. This is the y value. We need to fix it one more place. Let's fix it right here as well. So there's that. There's that. Where else is there? There. I think that's it. Okay. So he should not float when he gets down here. He should just fall. Nice. That is what I was expecting. So, yeah, he keeps climbing because he knows that he can go there. Then when he meets the wall, he should turn around. And he does. Now, the question is, will he hurt Snowball or will Snowball hurt him? Nobody is hurting anybody, it looks like. Yeah, I'm gonna have to fix that. I'm not sure what the deal is. It's a complicated problem. That's funny. The health bar is on the wrong side. That's that's a glitch I hadn't thought of. If the thing falls over, then the health bar will be on the wrong end of it. Put that on my list of things. HP bar on wrong side of box. I mean, one issue is just to couldn't make sure that no box is ever on its side like that, but I don't know. That does remind me of one other thing that I want to do. I want to make these boxes not so random in what they output. So bring this box down here. And I want to be able to choose what pops out of this box. So let's go to the block editor script. And I'm going to copy and paste this code because I like to copy and paste things when I can. Makes things easier. So public enum item drop. So drop item. Okay. So we have some chances here. We could say it doesn't drop any item. We could say that it drops gold. We could say it drops ice. We could say it drops random. So it could be a random thing from the list. And I guess that's good enough. The only thing I do want to add is like public float drop chance. And maybe it could be an integer. I don't know. We'll get to that though. So the idea is we get to decide what the box drops. So when the box breaks, which will be down here. So because before we had if drop item, but now what I want to do is if yeah, that was a bool. Now it's going to be an enum. So if drop item equals item drop dot random, then we do drop random item. So now yeah, let's see. Well, yeah. So let's just make some other stuff here where it's like drop gold and then public void drop ice. And so gold is going to be right there, and drop ice is going to be right there. And now we might also have in here the yeah, int chance. So we'll put that right there, and we'll say just int chance equals 50. And so drop gold or drop ice. Now when we go back here to where it's called, yeah, we might want this to be an int instead of a float. So when we call this function from here, we can just say drop chance. So we can specify the rate at which the gold versus the ice is dropped at. Then we can also say else if drop item equals item drop dot gold. Then we can just call that function by itself, drop gold, transform dot position. Else if drop item equals item drop dot ice, then game controller dot instance dot drop ice. Same thing there. So now, that should be good. Now we can decide what specifically a box is going to drop. Let me catch up on the chat now because I got really into that. I think maybe giving the enemies more of a lunge attack upon a certain proximity, near snowball, and perhaps more knockback for their attacks. Also, I had an idea for a stage type, though a bit off topic. So, first off, I do agree on, like, a lunge attack kind of a thing. Maybe we could have certain kinds of enemies doing certain things, like, because right now I've been using the same sprite for every enemy, but ideally what we do is we have different enemies doing different types of attacks, so we could reserve a lunge attack for a certain kind of an enemy, and the way in which they convey their attack could depend on, like, the enemy itself. So I'll write down lunge attack enemy, whatever that might mean, because it could be like, somebody like leaning toward you with a sword, or you know, punching you if they have a fist, or hit you with a weapon if they have a weapon, or it could be, it could be a number of things. Like if they have like really stretchy arms and they could stretch their arm at you, like, there's a lot of possibilities. But I think that's a good idea, yeah. And so I think there should be someone who just walks toward you, because think of it like this. In a Mario game, you've got your Goombas, and they don't have any arms, so all they can do is walk toward you, or, just in a general direction. The Koopas also don't have arms, but they do have a shell, and so when you hit the Koopa, and then he hides into a shell, and then you knock the shell around. So, I'm not sure if there's an enemy in Mario off the top of my head that like does a lunge attack at you. There's the Hammer Brothers; they throw hammers, and there's all sorts of enemies that throw projectiles at you, but or maybe if there's a type of enemy that like hops around, maybe that could be something. So for the stage idea, perhaps a certain stage where there are hot sections that slowly deteriorate health, the player would be forced to go into safer healing zones to replenish, giving a bit of pressure them to hurting. Yeah, so there is already like lava stuff, or like hot stuff I call it, that you can jump on and you'll take damage if you're there. So yeah, we could do like a special kind of a stage where like the whole point of the stage is to go into hot territory and survive. There is a similar stage like that in Mario where you had to pick up the invincibility star just to get through the stage. Likewise, stage hazards could be present, yeah. I was thinking a bit like a cat pouncing for the lunge. All they do is, yeah, yeah, charge and chuck. That's a good one. He does do a homing attack kind of a thing. Those one strange enemies from Super Mario Land. I haven't played that one, so maybe I should finally check that one out. But yeah, like an enemy that jumps at you. Like I coded a movement. Let me show that off. Hold on a second. There's an error here. No method takes 0 arguments. What did I do there? But I did code a method for the enemies where they run at you. So I can't imagine that coding a jump at you would be that much more difficult. So where is that error at? Game controller 302. Oh, right. Need to position. Yeah. So like let me go over here. We can do a jump toward. See how that goes. Jump toward. Just like what I'll do is like I'll attach the same script to all the enemies, but we will choose different attacks for different kinds of enemies and just change the sprite so that it looks like we have different enemies even though they're all calling from the same script. Lishy says, I'm in favor of very minimal enemies and more physics toys. Foes that are more an obstacle rather than an enemy, like how pinball works. Yeah. Like, I do agree that a lot of the fun does come from the physics. And honestly, like, you say pinball, we could even have like a pinball-esque sort of stage where there are like flippers that flip Snowball around. Um, but yeah, one other thing that we could actually do is sort of integrate the enemy's attacks into physics itself. Like here's an idea that I just came up with off the top of my head. Uh, there's an enemy that has gigantic wings, and it flaps its wings, and the wings create a gust of wind. So, your Snowball gets caught up in the wind. So either you destroy the enemy, which destroys the source of the wind, or, uh, what have you. So that's just one idea, is that the enemy is tied to the physics in the game. Or like what we were saying with the Charge and Chuck, there is also that other enemy that, like in Mario, where it stomps on the ground and you can't move. So there could be kind of a type of enemy that shakes up the ground, you know. So there's a lot of stuff that we could do with all that. If we have different types of enemies, especially ones that actually influence the physics of the game, then that could be really, really fun. Alright, so jumping back to this real quick, we can do the jump toward in a second. Let me just make sure breaking the block works. So let's come up with a few different blocks here, and they're all going to have different items. So that's going to be gold, it's going to be ice, and that's going to be none. So we should do ice, none, and gold in that order when we break those open. So you got ice, you got nothing, got gold. Okay, so yeah, that works. Good. I have not played Sonic Spinball. The only pinball game that I can remember playing is Pokemon Pinball. So, other than actual pinball machines, because I have played those, or that 3D space pinball that was on every Windows XP computer. There's that, but I have not played the Sonic ones. I'm not really that much of a Sonic fan. I have played Sonic 06 though. That was pretty exciting. So let's deal with the lunge attack, as we call it, which is just going to be void jump toward. So it's going to be a hybrid between jump and run toward. So first we're going to do is check the player's position, like we do. And we're not going to jump if the player is too far away from us. So, but if he does get close to us, then we will jump toward him. And we're going to jump toward him based on where his position is. So we're also going to have to check to make sure that we're grounded before we do this. So if we're not grounded, then we have to just stop. Otherwise, we will add this to our component, the jump force.y, along with our speed. So it's just a hybrid between the two of those functions. And we're going to call this in the update function else if current attack equals attack dot jump toward. Very simple. Okay. Let's see what chat's saying. Pokemon Pinball's a good reference. Du-du-du. Sure. I'll at least look up a video of it if I can't play it anytime soon. So let's see. Let's add the jump attack to this guy. So we're gonna say, okay, well, so that's an interesting thing to note. If you have an enum and if you add an enum in between the enums, then it changes all that. So gotta be careful about that next time. Because I had him set to jumping, but now he's set to jump toward, because I put that in the middle right there. So he's not jumping yet because we're not close. That's good. That is intentional so far. Then we should get close and he should start to jump. Maybe. Yep, there it goes. Ah, there you go. And we're kind of far away now, so he stops. Does he jump on the other side if we get close? And he does. So perfect. Nice. So there's your lunge attack. At least at a basic level. Probably what we could do is change how high he jumps as well. And that's a really simple thing to do. All we have to do is make jump force a public variable. Then we can change that from the inspector. Where's it at? Right here. So we can just change that in the inspector to whatever we want. So I thought he jumped kind of high up in the air, so let's tone that down a little bit as soon as this refreshes. A fun addition for some sort of challenge level could be clearing a pinball type of board by fulfilling objectives. Things like collecting letters to open the gateway to the goal. Yeah, well, I mean, I coded in switches, so if you need to hit certain switches, then there's that. Or if we just extend the switch functionality to something that isn't physically a switch, or if you collect an item and something goes off. So that's certainly an idea as well. So now his jump should be a little less large. Yeah. So it's just a little small jump. It seems more like a lunge than a leap or whatever. Maybe a bit more strength to it. It's funny. Then he slides down the ice because it's a steep hill. But yeah. Yeah, I like that. That's good. Well, the only issue though is that now he's jumping over Snowball. Clearly he doesn't want to actually jump over Snowball. He wants to jump onto him. So I don't know about that. Maybe it should stay at 6. Maybe it can go to 7. Yep. Yeah, it could have different jump forces based on color. So absolutely, we can have, you know, like that's the whole idea, is like different enemy types will do different things, but you know, the same enemy with a different color will, you know, do the same thing but harder or better, you know. So they might take more hits as well to their HP bar. So that's some good stuff. Now back to the level design. We're at 1 hour in, and we're still on the first level, but that's okay because these levels take time to make, and we gotta make sure everything's working good. I guess the question is, how do we make these levels more interesting? Like, what kind of stuff do we add along the way? You know, like I have blocks, and blocks can have stuff in them, which is why I needed to code that one bit, so that we can have blocks that, you know, have stuff in them and you can break them and all of that. can break the blocks to get stuff out of it, or you can not break the blocks. We need more like collectibles or stuff that is like out of your reach, maybe. Maybe you can make it so Snowball regains health by rolling. I'm not sure how HP system works, but rolling on snow makes sense. So the HP system, it is based on temperature. So over time, because it is so sunny out, or, you know, there's just so much heat in general, based on the temperature of the level, he will lose health over time very gradually. And his being exposed to fire also melts him, which lowers his HP. So rolling on snow, like, I don't know if that would work, just because you're rolling on snow almost all the time, and of course the whole world is melting. So, but the main way that you recover HP is by grabbing hold of these ice power-ups. Where did they go? Yeah, right here. And you can get these either by breaking open a box or by defeating enemies. So, or they're just lying out in the open in really difficult to reach places. So really the difficulty in the game comes from the fact that, you know, I mean, theoretically, if you could roll around to regain HP, then that makes it very, very easy and not much of a challenge. But if everywhere you go is like really hot and you're constantly melting, then ice becomes really scarce and you need to fight to actually recover. Have you put anything like a checkpoint system in? Not yet, although I've been keeping the option open to have a checkpoint system. But I've been considering it. Platforms' alternate means of tackling a level could add a layer of depth. Yeah, so alternate routes through a level. Yeah. Yeah, that could work. If there's more than one way through the level. Well, exactly, because we had the teleporters. I don't know if you guys were around for that stream, but we made teleporters, and these teleporters, as their name implies, allows you to teleport to a different area. So you might discover a cave, like for instance, let's say you decide to take a little detour into this little spot right here. You know, maybe there's like a little enclave or enclave right here. You know, and you're like, oh, what's down here? There's a teleporter. And so what we can do is we can sort of make a new area down here or wherever. And that might be a good place to introduce it as well, as an early level like this. So we've got inverted closed, just a really small cave area. Well, that's an interesting thing though, because if this is really a cave, then the lighting should be different. But I guess we can tackle that at some point. You know, but like, I can put a second teleporter down at the cave. And you know, define our destination. So we're gonna go back up. Maybe it'll spit us out somewhere over here. I don't know. But then the idea is that we just assign those destinations to each teleporter. So this one goes here, and this one goes here, and we're going to have new bounds as well. So the level bounds for this one is going to be the main bounds right here, and then we want sub bounds and set equal to these. So we're going to drag these bounds all the way down here and just do that, do that. Let's turn this light down so we can see what we're looking at. So the level bounds are going to be something like this. And these bounds are going to be something like this. We're going to put the lights back on. Then we can run this again. Hello, Choco Jacks. Welcome to the stream. Yes, we could have a warp maze level. That could be a more complicated one that we do in a bit. By a bit, I mean like a few days, if not a week or two. So let me show off the teleporter thing that we just put in. And this was stuff that we coded a few days ago as well for the teleporter. So jump in the secret cave right here. Well, the level bounds, we need to put a roof on our cave, a bigger roof, but you know, you get the idea. It would go to a sub area like this, and then we'd pop back out, you know, at the end of the level. So yeah, you could have your secret bonus area with a bunch of coins in it, and we might as well actually have one, because this is the first level, and it'd be good to introduce people to that. So there's that. Maybe do something like that. I don't know. Just to make it look more interesting. Or we could do something like this. Why can't I drag that up? Come on, drag it up. There we go. Okay. So there's that. And what else was I thinking of doing? Oh, yeah, the bounds were a little off center. So do something like that maybe. Thank you for welcoming me to my own stream. I actually thought the snowball would have to wait until touching the ground to be thrown again. Didn't know he could do it again midair. Yeah, that's a new mechanic I added for this game because I thought, well, it was suggested by another friend of mine who thought that the player needed some more options for controls. So, and I think it's a good choice because it's like, you know, you get one to bounce yourself off the ground, and then you get another to recover. And that actually does lead to some interesting gameplay ideas, like, you know, like what if you jump one way, and it's like, oh, it's a bad idea, and then you turn back. So, those are some things. Snowball also reminds me of the Transformation and Hailfire Peaks in Banjo-Tooie. That is a game that I have not played, although I know it's a game that I need to play. But I can't play Banjo-Tooie without playing Banjo-Kazooie. And that is also a game that I haven't played. I did play Conker's Bad Fur Day, though, if we're talking about rare games. But yeah, so we can have our little sub area here with some coinage. So, items, coin, where'd it go? Why does that coin look so tiny? It looks really tiny right there. I don't know. So 92, negative 196. Sure. Then we'll make this 94. Okay. 96. There's probably a better way to do this. 98. I just don't know. 100. Like, that's great. So let's just duplicate them all. And then drag them all down. Negative 198. 97. There we go. So there you have it. Some secret coins. Not a whole lot of coins, but there's some. What kinds of things will coins be used for? That is a very good question. I don't actually know. And we actually had this problem with the first game, because I actually had the coins in the first game, but we took them out because we didn't have a use for them. So I don't know what they'll be used for. They could be used for maybe upgrading, like, the amount of HP that you have, or the amount of attack power that you have. It could be used for buying, like, custom skins to put on your snowball, like your idea of, like, having like a meatball skin, or a, you know, a baseball skin, or a golf ball, you know, something like that. Like, you could be all sorts of different balls, you know. Kind of like the costumes in Mario Odyssey. Those were all just fun things that you could get with your coins. But it could also be something that influences the gameplay, like, could be additional move sets. Like, I've thought about it, like, what if you could buy additional moves? Like, maybe you get 2 mid-air jumps, or maybe you get, I don't know, some other really crazy jump kind of thing that you can do. So I don't know. There's a lot of possibilities for what the coins are used for. I don't actually know. Yeah, basketball. That's another good one. And that's another question, is should we have 1-ups in the game? Because I'm a little conflicted on that, because I think on the one hand, lives are a little antiquated at this point. They're not really something that show up in games that much anymore, because people don't like having to start all over. But on the other hand, being forced to start all over would make the game a lot more challenging if you ran out of lives and you had to start all the way back at either at the beginning or, like, your last save point. But I don't know. Or maybe I could just have 2 different play modes, where one of them is like easy mode, where you get to save everywhere and there are infinite lives, and then there's hard mode, where you can't save everywhere and there are limited lives, and people could play whichever mode they want to play. But then it's like, who would actually play the hard mode if you had the easy one? I mean, I guess some people who want to challenge themselves might. Maybe there's some sort of incentive that by playing the hard mode you can unlock extra content that way, or something like that. You know, there would have to be some incentive for doing that. Like, maybe your scores don't get submitted unless they're on hard mode, you know? Because I was thinking that we can actually, like, instead of just having, let me show you. Because we've got, yesterday we worked on the world map a bit, and I got it so that we could display information of each level. So, right, these are the stats from each level. And, you know, I was thinking it'd be a lot more interesting if you could see what other players' stats were instead of just your own. You could see how well they did on these levels. So I think that would be a fun thing to do. And, you know, maybe your stats only get saved if you play on hard mode. If you play on easy mode, then, you know, who cares what your stats are, because it's easy. But if it's hard mode, then maybe 1-ups should actually be a thing, and that's what coins actually could be spent on. So I think that's a lot of potential ideas for what coins could be used for. Nightmare mode, can't lose and gotta clear it in one go, yeah. Yeah, so let me write these down real quick. So I do like to write down the ideas that we come up with here. So store items could be, you know, 1-up in hard mode. Double jump, upgrade. It could be something. Maybe there's some sort of HP upgrade. Well, an HP upgrade is also an attack upgrade because I wanted to make it, I don't think I've done it yet, but I wanted to make it so that your attack power is based on how big of a snowball you are. Although I wouldn't, see, I guess, well, an HP upgrade could be separate from an attack upgrade because, so an HP upgrade would make you melt less quickly. So you go from being 2 to 1 in terms of scale slower. You know, you have more resistance to the heat, basically. Heat resistance upgrade. An attack upgrade would mean that the damage output that you're doing is actually more powerful. So, like, those could be separate upgrades. But still, attack and the size of your snowball would be linked together. So that could work. I'm still not sure about alternate characters just because I don't know how necessary they are. Like, we could have, I mean, we could have both maybe. It's just that I think a customizable skin is the easiest thing to put into a shop where it doesn't actually affect anything. But I don't know. Depends how much we want to work on the game. And I'm starting with the most basic stuff first. Speed updates, yeah, speed upgrade so you can fly faster. That makes sense. What would a gravity upgrade be? Like, you just defy gravity? I mean, that would be something. Maybe some sort of invincibility upgrade that makes it last longer whenever you get the golden snowball. But yeah, those are all pretty good things so far for the store. And honestly, I might work on the store tomorrow, because what I wanted to do before I worked on the store was to make the map, because the store should be on the map so that you can't buy things from within the level. You have to buy it from outside of the level. So you're saying the gravity upgrade could make you fall lighter and have more time to input precise jumps. Yeah, I could see that working. The only issue is that that could really be screwy with some of the, like, level specific gravity and wind. I don't know how that would interact with all of that stuff, but we'd have to experiment with that, give it a try, see what works. But yeah. Well, unless we wanted to do the shop right now. I mean, we're talking about it so much, why not just do it? So, let's see what we can do. So we got this screen right here. For right now, let's just make these buttons a little smaller. Height is going to be 80. Yeah, 80 works. Going to move this up a little bit and move the shop up a little bit. Okay. The only thing I don't want to, like, the only issue I have with this is that it might be a little confusing whether this shop button goes to like in a virtual store or the in-game version of my merchandise store, because I actually got that to work. I have it's in the other project. I don't want to open it because I might screw up what I'm doing right now, but in the other Snowball project, I actually got it to link together with my merchandise store, store.goldbargames.com, and it displayed all the t-shirts and hats and stuff like that I have for sale in there. So calling this the shop is a little bit better than calling it the store, because I want to call it Goldbar Games, or store.goldbargames.com. That's my merchandise store. So we might need a better name for that, but it works for right now. And what this is going to do is this is going to pop up a menu. It's going to close. It's going to get rid of the levels, so it'll go like that to the levels, and then it'll pop up a selection of items to choose from. And they could be upgrades or whatever else. So let's see. How do I want to do this? Levels go like that. And I'll make an empty one that's like shop screen. And we're going to need text. Actually, I don't want to redo all that. So let's just go here and let's duplicate the header. I love copying and pasting. It's so nice. So then we can just move the header over that way. Drag it over there. Call this the North Pole store. I don't know. We'll come up with a catchy name for this later. The Snow Shop. And let's see, we can have something like name of item, or rather item name. Put that on the left over there, and get rid of all this stuff. This doesn't matter. Have the name, the price. Maybe we'll just call it name and price, just so that it's not redundant. And we're also going to need to know how many coins that Snowball actually has, and actually we can copy and paste that as well. We can just do this. So there you go. Now we know how many coins we have. Let's see, let me check the chat. This engine is nice that it has a view of work. Yeah. The Unity engine, one of its greatest strengths is the visual editor. It's really nice. Instead of a shop, perhaps upgrades or something. Yeah. Yeah, that's right, the effect of the item as well, so we'll need the description. Well, really, we also kind of want a picture. So we want a description and a picture, although what we really want is like when you select the item, the description changes, so that you don't have like a billion descriptions on the screen at once. I know how we can do this. I know exactly how we can do this. So this will be this will show the item. Like it'll say item, but below it will be a picture of the item. Then we've got a name, then we've got a price. So we'll do item at -340, name at -200 maybe? No, -140, and then price at +140. because the name might be long. Well, actually, we should reverse name and price. So that'll be at negative 140. And then the name will actually be on the right. Because you'll have the picture, you'll see how much it is, and you'll see the name. Then you can click on the description. Or you can click on the item to see the description. It'll go right there. We should have it in the middle. And then you can have the option to buy it. Something like this. So now comes the hard part, which is actually filling this table with stuff. We might not be able to finish this tonight. We could get the basics of it up and running. But I think at this point we're going to have to jump into the code. So let's switch over to that. So how do I want to do this? We're going to want to define the items class. So let me make a new script if I don't have one already for items. Don't think I do. Or I guess we can call it upgrades. Yeah, I want to differentiate that from like in-game items that you can run into. So here we have our upgrades now. And let's see. This is not going to inherit from auto behavior because this is not going to be instantiated in game. We are going to make it, well, this is good enough right now. So we've got our class. Obviously, we need a string for a name. We need an int for a price. And we need, what else did I need? A sprite for a picture, yeah. Thumbnail. And also a string for the description. Okay. I mean, I guess that's all we need for right now. This could get a little complicated because we're going to have upgrades of multiple types. So really, this should probably be an abstract class that other types of upgrades inherit from. Because we're not actually going, there can't actually be just an upgrade. There would have to be something else. So let's make those. So let's say custom skin inherits from upgrades. And, oh, well, I guess we need a constructor. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. So string in, string d, int p, sprite t. Then we can just do name equals n, description equals d, price equals p, and thumbnail equals t. All right. So this is pretty basic stuff so far. So we're going to have custom skins, like we said. We're going to have, what else are we going to have for upgrades? Stat upgrades, like attack, defense, stat upgrade. upgrades. Maybe I'll call it a stat boost. Okay. And what else are we going to have? Like a double jump, so that could be like a move set. Public class move set upgrades. So these are different types of upgrades that we might have for purchase in the store. And of course, well, yeah, a 1-up would be a stat boost. So this would be like for 1-ups, attack, HP, defense, etc. Speed, etc. So double jumps, triple jumps, crazy shots, anti-gravity. This would be just fun visual skins, baseballs, basketballs, etc. So each one of these is going to have their own different properties about them, but they're all going to be upgrades. So we all good so far? Yeah. All right, so what else can we do? We're going to go back to our menu controller. This is getting to be a really huge file, so I hesitate to put all this logic in the menu controller itself. But we need to have our list of upgrades available for purchase in the store somewhere. So I'll just put it here right now, though. Maybe we can organize this later. Public list of upgrades. Shop upgrades. Oh, and you know what? We need to add one more thing, which is going to be public bool available. We'll have public bool unlocked and public bool in stock. Kind of rhymes, but yeah. So the idea is, you know, certain ones might not be available right away, and there might only be so many of them available. Actually, we want that to be like an integer, like how many are in stock. Is it 0 that's in stock? But that's not right either, because yeah, that's not right either. All right, let's just assume for now that there's an infinite supply of all these items. And whether or not they're available in the store is determined by this. We can get to the other stuff later. It is something that we need to deal with, though. So go back here, we'll get our items, shop upgrades, and yeah, this needs to be its own. This needs to be its own thing. Let's make that happen. Let's put this all in its own bit of code here. Public class upgrade shop. Okay. So we'll have our list of upgrades. And we will have an upgrade shop in the menu controller, because otherwise this file is going to be way too huge. So we've got our list of upgrades, and well, what else do we need from the store? go back here and take a look. $38, $44, and $50. What's going on here? Okay, so these need to have constructors in them. Let me look this up real quick. So for an abstract, if we have an abstract class, where does the constructor go? Okay, this is how we do it, I guess. We just call base, and we pass in the parameters like so. Oh, here's the syntax here, maybe. This is why I don't mess with this very often. But this is the right thing to do. So let's just do this. Ta-da. Maybe this is what I need to do. I don't know. It seems like a waste of code, but yeah. We're probably going to want to do different things with the constructors, though. I don't know. No, okay, there's a way around that, but what is it? Is it like this? Yeah, there we go. There we go. That's what I was missing. Okay. So, for those who don't know C#, or every aspect of C#, this is how you do it. It looks like. So there we go. And gotta do upgrades, and there we go. All right. So what this allows us to do is we have our base upgrades class, and then we have these inheriting from it. So nice. This is the proper syntax. Interesting. Okay. So there might be some properties of these that we need to adjust, like for instance, what kind of a stat boost is this going to be? It could be, well, let's make an enum. So public enum stat. No. Public enum boost. So it could be attack, heat resist, health, maybe. Well, is heat resistance actually health? It basically is. So heat resist, attack power, and what else do we talk about? Speed. Good enough. So we have our different types of boost. And I don't know. This is getting a little complicated. But yeah. Well, so then we need to fill these in. So N D P T U. Okay. We might just have a string for the skin name so that we can load it. So file name, and then that'll be the skin name that we use. And then for the moveset, that might also be a thing that we do. I don't know. Public bool using moveset, maybe. Because all of these have names, all of these have descriptions, all of these have prices, and they all have thumbnails. But these are all components that individually they might be different. So we have our list of shop upgrades potentially. So let's just add some into our list. So shop upgrades dot add Why does it not want me to add to the list? That's really weird. I don't know why it doesn't want me to add things to the list, or it's not suggesting I can. Normally this is what you do with a list. So let's say we have a new custom skin. We're going to call it the basketball skin, and description. Well, really what we should do, this should all be in a separate file, and we would read these from the file, so we'll just say this is a basketball. We can deal with all that later. Basketball, this is a basketball. Price is going to be like, I don't know, 10 coins. And thumbnail is going to be null. Just I don't want to pass it in just yet. So what's going on here exactly? Custom skin equals new custom skin. There we go, right? Then we add the skin. We're good. Can we really not have a list of an... Oh, man. Can we have a list of an abstract class? Oh, duh, what am I thinking? This needs to be in the start function. Can't just go to town on it like that. Okay. Man, okay. It's getting late. Man. Alright. Alright, that makes sense. Sometimes I do that. So the whole point was this needed to be in the start function. I completely forgot about that. God, okay, well. that was that was a brain fart, as they say. So, are you thinking of allowing the player to only equip one upgrade at a time? I was thinking that uh I was thinking that they should only have like one moveset upgrade at a time. Or maybe like a limited number on the stat boosts, you know, so that they have to think about what they're going to go with, you know. They can't just put on all the different things that they buy from the store at the same time. Like you could only have one skin active at a time, right? You can't have more than one. So maybe one skin active at a time, one moveset active at a time, and one stat boost active at a time. That way you have to play around with what you want to add on, or maybe you can have 3 stat boosts active at a time, or something like that. You know, just so that you have to make a conscious choice as to what you're going to include. Um, but the idea is that you can be able to play the game multiple ways. You know, you get to choose what items you want to buy, and you know which ones you think are going to help you most. And you might also get to choose the way that you navigate the levels, and you choose your path through the levels. So you might complete level 3 and there's a path to 4 or 5 and you choose either 4 or 5. So I just want a lot of player choice in how they complete the game. Maybe the player chooses defense or speed. Maybe have speed level up to 5 or so with each installment, giving a slight boost until it's noticeable. That way there's plenty to buy and the player keeps checking the store, but they only equip one. Therefore, they will choose what will be a good choice for different levels or how they want to play. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking as well. So what you could buy in the store maybe is multiple levels of upgrades. So like you might be able to choose whether you want your speed upgrade, but maybe you need to buy a level 2 speed upgrade. Maybe you want to buy the level 3 upgrade. Then you want to buy the 4th upgrade, but you don't have enough money. So you're stuck with level 3, and you can choose between your level 3 speed upgrade or your level 4 defense upgrade. Something like that, you know. So that could be a thing. And so you probably want to make a bool right here to see like which one is equipped and not is equipped. Well, now that doesn't make any sense. We're gonna have to do about that differently. We'll do that differently from a different perspective. It should be Snowball, either Snowball or the game controller or the menu controller that tells you like it knows which one is equipped, and if none of them are equipped then it's null. So can't do it from inside like that. But anyway, so at the beginning we're going to add all these in. So we're going to add a basketball skin. What other skins do we have? Meatball, yeah. This is a meatball. And that'll be 10 as well. And maybe we do, I don't know what other round shapes there are. Like a tennis ball. There's so many sports that use balls. It's interesting. Okay, so we've got a few different balls there to choose from in our store. And we also want to add skins, and then we have our stat boosts. So we're going to add a, oops, there should be a new keyword here. New custom skin. And then we're going to have new stat boost. Heat resist. Level 1. Increases heat resistance. And we can make that more descriptive later. But then we'll probably make that more expensive of an item to buy. And like that, and like that. And then we can do like level 2 and then level 3. Something like that. Then, last but not least, we'll have possible movesets that can be added. So shop upgrades.add, new moveset, double jump, can jump one time while mid-air, and maybe that'll be 100 coins. And again, the picture is going to be null, but we'll add pictures later. And that's all we've got for the movesets, really. Unless I just add a triple jump. Something like that, you know. So it'll take you a lot of coins to get all of these. But maybe we'll also have a lot of coins inside the levels. So, and even if you do get all of them, like I said, you can just have to mix and match to see which ones you actually want. So yeah. And that's good so far. So if we head back here to the game screen, we have a lot of errors. Okay. They do not take a constructor that has 4 arguments. Well, why is that? 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, the bool. We don't need the bool anymore, I don't think, or do we? We're gonna make that default to true. So it'll just assume that it's true. Everything is unlocked at the start. Good enough. Oh. I need to do that for all of them. Okay. Okay, so we're back to normal on that. Now, we're going to need to make these items show up in the store. So, well, we're going to need to do a few things. Whew, this is going to be rough. So we're going to add a button to our shop screen, and actually, let's not do that. This is a lot faster if I just do that. Duplicate it. Let's call it item button, and just say item. Oops. Actually, we don't want any text on it, I don't think. Let's drag this up. see how I'm going to do this. Make the button like that. Maybe a bit like that. And we're going to want 3 different things of text on here. Well, there's going to be the image, right? So what we really want is an image. So that image is going to go there. We're going to shrink it down a bit. And we're going to do like price. So we could do like 50 coins. And it's going to be right there. And we're going to do a name. So like heat. Like that. And that's going to be right justified. Yeah. Okay, so it has to be like that. Okay. It's good enough for our purposes right now anyway. So it'll be something like this, and then we can populate it up with what we've actually programmed. Also, let me read the chat. Forgot to ask if the player can grind coins. Perhaps coins are a set limit. I would say it's okay to grind coins. If you actually want to do it, you can. But, you know, it might be easier to get more coins in future levels because the enemies will be harder and they might drop higher level coins, you know. That typical kind of thing where if you actually do want to put in the time to grind for coins in the early levels, it's going to take you a very, very long time to actually get to all of them. Or you can just continue to play the game like normal and, you know, defeat harder monsters that drop more loot. So again, we're getting very close to being able to do this. I might just go over time if like 5 minutes just to finish this off. So one function we're gonna need to make is public void shop button. So there we're gonna do game object all levels dot set active false. Okay, and then we're gonna need a new game object for the store. Game object shop, upgrade shop dot set active. Why is this not? Oh, derp. Upgrade object. Set that to true. And then what we're also going to do is upgrade shop. Well, yeah, see, the thing is, when we get back here, we're going to need to make this a prefab. So item button is going to be a prefab now. And so we're going to do that. Then let's say we instantiate the prefab, so we can sort of pretend that we do that by doing, where is it? By doing this. So there's that. And then we go down a bit more. You can imagine more of them being populated there. And then the other thing we're going to need to do actually before we make that a prefab is we're going to need a, when we click on this, something's going to need to happen. We're going to need to add the description, and we're going to need to buy it. So we're actually not really that close to finishing this, but I'll keep going because it seems like we have a decent amount of people watching. So we'll finish this example. I don't want to leave people hanging either. Also, hello, Kanachi, or Kana. So let's keep going a little bit. We're going to need a couple more things here. We're going to need a function. So we'll jump here. Public void load description. Or actually, more accurately, select item. Select shop item. So when we do that, we want to load the description to where the description needs to go. So public Unity engine dot UI dot text item description. So item description dot text equals, and we're going to need to get string name. So, well, string should say string item name. Then we can do something like actually, yeah, okay. We're going to do something better. Leave that hanging for a second. Instead of making a list, what we're going to do is we're going to make a dictionary. And also, I forgot to do something that it would not have worked. Dictionary of strings and upgrades. So on the left, we're going to have the name of the upgrade, and then we're going to have the upgrade itself. So this is going to make things a little bit easier. I mean, it's not perfect because, you know, we need to write the name twice, I guess, but it's going to be easier to look things up because a dictionary has a faster lookup time than a list, and that's the important thing. Also, we're going to need to do shop upgrades equals new dictionary string upgrades. That's important, otherwise the dictionary doesn't exist. So, because we're using a dictionary now, we can just grab things by their name. So when we come back here to the menu controller, we can just say upgrade shop dot shop upgrades. Really, what I should do, I should rename this. I should call it items dictionary. So we have an items dictionary, and I have a lot of files open. So items dictionary, we're going to get the item name, and as a result, we're going to return the description. So this is going to be called when we click on the button, and it's going to set the description of the item that we just selected. And yeah, okay, so head back here now. And we're going to once this loads back up, let me check the chat to see what's going on. Yeah. So let's see what else I need to do. So level button, we're gonna attach level button, even though this is an item button. Actually, I didn't know I could do that. I didn't know I could just drag a script from the script and just execute whatever without attaching it. Oh, I can't. Okay. So what we need to do, we'll just drop that on like that and then attach like that. I think. So let's open this up for a second. Public void select item. String name, string item name equals blah blah blah. Controller dot instance dot mini controller dot upgrade shop dot items dict. Wait a minute, we went too far. Mini controller dot select shop item name. There we go. So this is actually going to call the function. When we click on the button, it'll do that. So why is this a 1? Yeah, let's rearrange these a little bit. Let's call this text and get rid of the 1 here. Okay, so now we've got our item button. I can go back to the prefab, overwrite the prefab. There we go. And oops. Why is this not working? Make that none. There we go. That's weird. It's really weird, but anyway, it works. So select item and overwrite the prefab one more time. Go back to the game controller, go to our mini controller. Need to grab the item description text. It's going to be right where is it? There it is. Right there. Upgrade object. Okay. Sure. I think that's it. And so the other thing we need to do is go to our shop button over here and we'll assign this function that we made, shop button. So let's test this out real quick. I'll enable this, but let's test that out real quick because we can populate that tomorrow. But let's test this out. We got our levels, we got our world map, and we want to buy something from the store. Okay, so let's hit our shop button. So it comes up, and let's select our item. No. Okay, what did we do wrong? Level or line 88. What did I not do? Upgrade shop is not. Oh, darn it. Okay. Let's see. Yeah, where's the start function? So what we forgot to do was enable our upgrade shop. So upgrade shop equals new upgrade shop. That would make everything work perfectly. Okay. try this one more time. We should be good to go. When you don't have enough files open, it means you're not deving enough. Yeah. Okay, so got our map screen. Want to buy something? Go to the shop. Select our item. No. It's the same issue again. What's the deal? You know what I think we'll do? Even though it doesn't need to be a mono behavior, I think we'll just make it a mono behavior so that we can attach it and know that it's there. Oh wait, I know what's wrong. This is happening to not be called because yeah, okay. It's a little strange of a bug I need to fix. I think, right? Because that's only called, I don't know, I mean, you'd think that it would be done. Well, let's just make it a mono behavior. It's the simplest thing. So we go back to our upgrades. Upgrade shop is going to be a mono behavior, so we can attach it, and that should be good. And now this thing is going to wonder where it is. It's going to have a little spot in here coming up. As soon as it refreshes 5 seconds later. And there we go. So now I can just add upgrade shop. Oh, I know why I didn't do that. Because this needs to be renamed. I need to do that outside of the editor because for some reason it doesn't like to rename things within the Unity editor. So let me just... I wrote that script with that one name, and if the name of the file doesn't match, if the name of the file doesn't match the name of the class, then it doesn't work. So there's that. That might also have been the issue that we were having, that it didn't know about that. So anyway, now we can just drag this in here. Oh, what am I doing? What am I doing? Okay. Attach it there, then drag it from there to all the way up here. It's one mess of a game object. It's a lot of stuff I need to clean up. Okay. No, I forgot to switch the screens. That's okay, you didn't want to see me messing up anyway. Alright. Last try. There you go. It works. It works. Okay, we're good. So, I think I'm gonna end it there because as you can tell, my brain is a little out of it right now. But we got the basics working, right? So we've defined our shop, we've defined our items in the shop. The only thing that we need to do is make it so that all of the items are populated, and we read in. We want to read in all the names from a file, and we also want to read in the sprites for the thumbnails from a file, and we also want to buy the upgrades, and we want to apply them to our player in game. So that's going to be a lot of stuff, and we'll probably try and start with that next time, and then play around with some of the upgrades in our levels next time. So, nice. We've got a very nice number of people in the chat here, so good to know everybody saw me struggling to get this working at the very end. But yeah, it can be really crazy, it can be really fun, but look forward to next time. We're gonna finish up the shop, it's pretty close to being done. And after that, we'll continue with some more level design. So thanks everybody for watching. Stay tuned for next time. And see you then.